the world. And humans are the biggest vector, and our goods are the biggest vector. And not only human pathogens, but plant pathogens can easily go around the world too, and we have so many examples actually.
What's the risk, for the human crops, for the human food crops? Because in 18th century there was a huge hunger. I don't know how to say it right now.
Famine.
Yeah. They're in Ireland, so it can happen again, maybe.
Yes, actually, it's happening all the time. But at that time, people were very dependent on potato. There was no alternative crop. No corn will grow in this area. Ireland was already overpopulated, and the British, they were landlord, and they wanted the Irish stuff, but they don't want to solve the problem actually at that time. So there are political issues too. And today there is all sorts of epidemics in Europe, in Central America, in Mexico. The phytophthora infestans continues to cause epidemics. And there are so many other agricultural diseases too, which you may not see it because we have so many other products to compensate, and then the market price goes up, or China exports and goes. The international trade kind of maybe shadows some of the impact that the pathogens have on agricultural trade.
So there is not a huge risk, for example, Peru is a country that almost we don't have enough land to culture, right? So we have a lot of pressure. Our population is growing up.
Yeah.
So and also we don't have enough food, right? So for example, we buy rice from other countries.
Yeah.
Also, we produce ours here. But I'm afraid that
you will be more dependent if you have a major problems, of course.
Yeah, but well, you show some pictures of one leaf in the water, and I saw that here too, in the jungle, in the rainforest, in the menu. So I guess that we have that too, and maybe also.
Yeah, there is those pathogens definitely around. But I mean, it doesn't mean that it will cause a problem. But because we are using all those genetically modified plants or particular varieties or single potato, we keep planting everywhere the same potato actually. It's not really this diversity anymore. We will have plantations, we have all the same genetic background. Once there is a disease, then it has a huge impact. And this is one of the reasons, of course. In a cornfield or in a wheat field, you have only one resistant mechanism most of the time. And if you have this pathogen coming in, it can have a huge impact on the crop in 1 year period.
We have Phytophthora cinnamomum here. For me, it's very interesting and it's very vast. And also, for corn, there are Pinus radiata. I see that the same is to the, you see in Chile? It's the same, the color to the...
Yeah, and the foliage. The needles,
Yeah,
I mean, you have to take a look. I mean, we can sample, and this is maybe, it is here, but it is not because you don't have these huge plantations, or maybe the climate is not exactly a full match, but you may see in 1 year, and this happens in certain years, there is always this weather events, El Nino activities, and so on. And that year, huge epidemic, everything is killed. But we have this other years that you don't see that much. It's like fluctuating and so on. So unless you look at it, you never know.
And cinnamon is in other foods, only avocado? No.
It is on avocado, and a number of, the list is so big, 9,000 plants is on host list. It's very big, and I don't know which other plants will be susceptible in your environment, but I can imagine a number of the fruit trees and also plants like avocado would be very susceptible. But it is interesting that cinnamon is...
And there are many plantations of the Pinus radiata, and in many places refers Pinus radiata.
I think it is worthwhile to look at that. And we are really, this research is a preliminary study, and if we get here's how science works actually. If you have interesting data, people will give money for you to do research. It's not always that you have to have a problem. If there is a problem, of course, that's easy. But if there is no problem in jungle, there is no problem. And unless you make a really good case, you don't get the money. So what we are doing is, if we get some very interesting preliminary data, with support of our past research, we can generate some monies, and then that will make monies available for a student here in this country, or to study with you those pathogens, for example. And this is what we are really trying to do, maybe advocate that we have to go and survey this particular group of organisms. And if we generate some money, there will be opportunity for some people to really look at this.
There any treatment against infection?
Yes, there are, but in a forest setting, that's so trouble, because there's so big diversity of plants, and you can't spray the plants with some fungicides, for example. You can inject particular single trees on a ornamental level in the streets and so on. There's ways, but once organism established in this level in a forest setting, the battle is almost lost. So the plant structure starts to change. Some plants disappear and others shows up, but there is really no example that I can give you that we had actually success. Very limited cases. Some in a spruce forest in Europe with Heterobasidium, there is some biological control. We could manage it much better. There was another pathogen, armillaria. We could manage it better, but this is all. So in a nursery level, yes, I can give you some things. Ornamental level, in a street, urban areas, you can inject if it's possible. And the forest level, you have to just wish good luck, I guess.
Good afternoon. I was studying the eucalyptus dieback here in Oxapampa. Well, I was found principally abiotic causes, but I was found to Basidium in the root. But I was see in the air trunk gomosis and in some trees, principally in the trees that the branches was cut.
I see.
So I don't know what it.
Yeah.
I suppose that it can be Phytophthora.
Yeah, on eucalyptus, it depends on the species, but those terry exudates or the gumosis, it's a natural response. It can occur. It's not necessarily Phytophthora. Now, the eucalyptus species usually that is planted around the wall, like here or in Europe, they have picked up particularly the most resistant eucalyptus species. So the number is probably about 500 eucalyptus species in Australia, and a number of them are very susceptible, but some are not susceptible to Phytophthora cinnamomum, and those have been actually breeded and planted around the wall. So what you can do is really look at the soil level and check it whether you find cinnamomum or not, and that's where you can have the best idea. But all those terry gumoses and so on, that can be totally natural actually. And I was actually curious about that too when I went to Australia and saw some other plantations. I thought maybe, oh, this is really look like Phytophthora, but none of them is Phytophthora actually. It's a natural plant response. So you have to be careful. Take a look at the root system.
You were showing that apparently there is a huge diversity in this about to be discovered. So I have no idea how the genetics of this organism work, but does the definition of a species hold? How stable are those species or strains? Do they have sex?
Yes, they have sex.